Welcome back to Monday Musings, a casual conversation about culture and theology. I'm Justin Ely.
I'm Daniel Chen. We're a couple guys talking about some stuff.
The stuff we're talking about today is the news.
Yay.
What is the news? How is the news? Where is the news? And should you watch it, or read it, or listen to it, or tweet it,
Yeah.
exit?
Yeah. And the news has changed a lot in the past 20 years.
This is no Walter Cronkite,
Yeah.
which very few people even know who I'm talking about. Yeah, we want to talk about, like, man, the news just seems so negative. Like, why even bother? Or everything's so biased. I don't even know what's true. So what's the point? Should I watch the news? Should I read the news? Should I stay up to date? Or is it better for me just to unplug and just stay away from all the problems of the world?
Yeah.
So that's what we're going to talk about. I'd love to hear first, like, where are you on the news spectrum personally? And what role does the news have in Daniel Chen's life?
You know, until I met you, not much. But since I've met you, a lot more.
I'm honored.
No, but part of it too is, so I guess when you're talking about watching the news, I don't watch like CNN or Fox News or something on TV. Mm-hmm. I don't do that. Mm-hmm. So zero. Mm-hmm. I get most of my news from a couple different websites, and like just like news, basically, sites that kind of like congregate the stories.
Yeah.
Social media, I get a lot of my news from too. And then talking to you, I get my news, a lot of my news
source.
And the main reason is because for myself is, as a pastor, it's important to me that I know what's happening in the world, right? Mainly for a couple of reasons. One, I want to be able to shepherd the sheep, the flock well, as it comes to it. But two, as I think about, like, as an evangelist, you can't really know how to share the gospel, package your delivery, unless you know what people are thinking, struggling with, what are people afraid of, what are people happy about, what are people following, what are people talking about.
Yep.
Right? How can you really connect with people with the gospel until you understand what people perceive their problems to be?
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
So, what about you?
Man. This is confession time, I guess. Is this a tree of trust? Or at least this isn't going to be public. Yeah, I'm a news junkie. So I think an important fact to know is that I was born at 40 years old. So I've been 40 since I was out of the womb. I grew up, like, I remember my parents would watch the news every night, like WSB, local news, and then World News Tonight with Peter Jennings. And I would watch it with them. So I've been watching the news since I was a kid.
Real quick question. Do you feel like it has gotten more negative or biased since you started watching? Because I didn't really watch the news as a kid. Or has it always kind of been that way?
I don't know. It's like, like, you go back in the 90s with, like, the Clinton scandal. That was pretty. The knives were out.
Right.
I don't know. I think I've always been drawn more to national news. Local news has always been like the shooting down the street and the burglary.
Yeah, okay.
Just
things to make you afraid.
Yeah. So, but we are very polarized.
Yeah.
And people seem unwilling to change their minds about much of anything. So you have news media that literally exist just to promote the biases of the group they're trying to target.
Right.
So that's a problem. So people don't really want like fact-based reporting. They want things to confirm the biases they already have.
Yes.
So that really hurts the news industry.
So knowing your bias is really important, that people are unaware of their own biases.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But, I've always been, politics for me is kind of like a sport. So I don't get like, I think some people get like angry about it, anxious about it. I'm like, I watch it probably how you watch your favorite NFL team. Like that's me.
Which is like, I get angry about it and anxious about it. So,
So maybe I have a lower competitive interest, I suppose, in it. But so I watch the news every single night.
like on TV.
On TV every single night, much to Hillary's great sorrow. Actually, one of the greatest things in our marriage was purchasing YouTube TV because you can like record stuff. So I'll like skipping through the commercials helps lessen the time.
Are you like a one channel guy or multiple channel guy?
I guess I'll show my bias here. I watch Special Report with Brett Baer on Fox News every night at 6 o'clock.
With your popcorn.
Me and all of the retired people in Florida. That is like literally his greatest demographic is like people above 80 and me. But Brett grew up in Dunwoody, so shout out to an Atlanta boy. But nowhere's perfect. Each station has its issues.
Right.
I do find the like Fox News commentary completely exists to confirm the biases of people who are on that side.
Yeah.
Brett is about as fair as you get. It's still biased a little to the right. But
there's no unbiased news. I'm just going to throw that out.
He's a pretty straight shooter. I appreciate he's a strong interviewer. He's a tough interviewer. And he gets a lot of good interviews. So I watch him every night. Me and Brett, my kids, they're like, Dad's watching the news again. I'm like, hey.
There's Dad's best friend.
Brett Baer. I listen to the Dispatch podcast every Friday.
Okay.
And then I subscribe to the Wall Street Journal, the New York Times, and the Dispatch magazine. And I specifically picked the New York Times because it's left-leaning. So I want to engage in like what thinkers are thinking from that side. I picked the Wall Street Journal because my finance professor at Georgia, that was like assigned reading for our finance class, the Wall Street Journal, and he wanted us to read like the front page every day. And I haven't stopped since then. And so I found Wall Street Journal is a helpful place. So, and then social media as well. But so I'm what you might call a junkie.
That's a lot of sources.
Yeah. Lot of sources, which we'll get to in a bit. But why don't we start with? So that's kind of our experience. Why do you think people choose to not watch the news or not consume? Maybe consume news is a better.
Yeah.
What do they say? It's not worth it.
You know. I'll just say in my family, there's one person who watches or consumes the news, and everyone else doesn't. And I think mainly because, I was talking about my wife. She doesn't consume the news because I think, I don't want to misrepresent her, but she doesn't want to know. Mm-hmm. Like, everything's so negative. She doesn't want to surround herself with the negativity.
Yep.
But that's the thing, we talked about in podcast previous, like at the end of the day, like a lot of news sources, even the ones that want to be truthful, you're still a product. Like,
yeah, Your
they still-
demographic.
they still,
They're after ratings.
they still need to make money. That's money is more important to truth than
Yeah.
all of
Yeah.
these organizations, and they know the more negative their headlines are, the more clicks they're going to get. And so I have to actually tell myself often before I like the news sources I get. I like to, I'm more on the right side of all the news stuff because I just decided a while ago that I'm like, you know what, I'm just, this is just who I am, this is what I'm going to read or whatever. But I have to tell myself, I have to remind myself sometimes I'm biased, they're biased, and they're trying to get me riled up about something.
Yeah.
Because sometimes I do get riled up about stuff, and I have to remind myself that that's on purpose. They're trying to do that.
Yep. And I will add, sometimes you should get riled up about stuff.
Sure.
And that's okay. you
Yeah.
know?
But I think for people who don't watch the news is that it's like they want to be happier. They don't want to get riled
Right.
up. They don't want all of this negative headlines in their face all the time. I think partially for people too, you have people who just, they exist in their world of, they love their kids. They're involved in the schools. They're in their community. Why do I need to know what's happening everywhere else?
Right.
I'm living my life here. Right. I mean, the thing is, we both consume news. I mean, what do you think?
Yeah, I think you hit on them. I think it's kind of two groups. I think you have the one group that's like, this is so negative, it makes me anxious. I don't want to go down that negative rabbit trail. I think you have another group that's like, I just don't care. I don't care what the president did today. I don't care what's happening over. I just don't care. And those are, I think, two different groups. I think there's probably some overlap. But I think that's in general why people don't watch the news.
Yeah.
Why people do watch the news is another story. So, I mean, what would you say if you were trying to make a case for here's why you should, or maybe not watch, but consume news content in some way? So talk to those two people that are like, it makes me too anxious, or I just don't care.
Yeah, I think you have people who want to know what's going on, to be informed. You have a lot of people in business and that need to know how this affect the stock market.
Yeah,
right. That's one reason I pay attention to the news, is how does this affect the markets, right?
Yeah.
You have people who aren't really interested in politics. Like, you're not the only one that watches it as a sport. Like,
sure,
people. My cousin's like that. It's like they always say elections are her Super Bowl.
Right. Yes.
And like,
I mean, you were there for the my election night party. I had 3 screens, a lot of wings.
It was a lot of fun.
It was like a Super Bowl
great.
party.
Yeah.
I had people fill out a map of the country and guess the electoral college. You know,
the commercials were less interesting.
They weren't quite as good,
you know. But I think there's a number of reasons why. I think including that there's a little bit of like an addiction to it.
Yeah.
In the sense of like, you kind of like reading about how the politician you didn't like said that thing you thought was dumb. Mm-hmm. I like it's, if we're honest with ourselves, it's a little gratifying to be like, I knew it. I knew I was right about that person or whatever.
Yep.
So I think some of it is keeping up with the world. Some of it is just general interest. Some of it is like knowing what to discuss with people at work or whatever. Mm-hmm. And some of it is because you like it. Mm-hmm. It's like the negative things that you do see affirm the things you knew is true about the other side, the other person, the other whatever. So.
Yeah. I think those are, I think, really good examples of why people do consume news. And it's a good reminder that the heart is deceitful above all things. And so the news can be a means to fuel your own pride of, you're like the fair, thank God I'm not like him. And I do think we,
I mean, I've been there.
We put ourselves in teams, and it's not really team Jesus and team not Jesus. It's team whatever issue or whatever party. And there's in our flesh, we like to see the other team lose, get humiliated. So there's an element of that that I think is really unhealthy.
Yeah.
I think people do.
And what's hard about that too is like, we talk about abortion a lot,
Right.
on this podcast. Like, we're team pro-life.
Yeah.
And I will celebrate when
When
pro-life things.
when evil is dismantled, you should celebrate. Yeah.
But there is probably some sin in there of like me, of what you're saying, the pride, I'm better than you, whatever, as well. And I think where it gets confusing and why we're talking about this topic is because we should celebrate the things that are righteous and good that we
For
read
sure.
and consume.
For sure.
But also be aware of where is my sin mixed up in this as well, right?
Yeah,
So,
it's worth thinking about. I just make the case of like being aware of what's going on in the world is good.
Yeah.
And as a Christian, I think you should. A few thoughts. One, Jeremiah 29, seek the welfare of the city. It's kind of hard to seek the welfare of the city if you don't know what's going on in the city.
yeah.
Now, actually, this is convicting to me because local politics actually affect your life more than a lot of national politics does.
Right.
And you can affect positive change in some more significant ways, often locally. And that is often the news I'm least connected to.
Yeah.
And so I feel like I should, if I'm going to seek the welfare of the city, I should do better about knowing what's going on in Roswell, what's going on in Johns Creek, what's going on in Atlanta, than what's going on in Washington, D.C. But I think being aware of what's going on in the world allows you to seek the welfare of the world. It allows you to be in the world, but not of the world. I also think it's a great evangelistic tool of you need to know what people are talking about.
Yeah.
You need to know the anxieties and fear people have so you can apply the gospel to those places.
Yeah.
And it just, that awareness, that cultural lens kind of helps you, be ready for that encounter.
I'd say too, something like ChatGPT could be a good resource here if you don't watch the news and you're just like these headlines.
Yeah.
Because you could ask, hey, will you give me the top 5 biggest things happening in the world and the U.S. today? Take away the negative headlines. Just let me know what's happening. Mm-hmm. You could also ask it, give me 3 big things and 3 happy things. And I think you could use it as a news congregator.
Sure.
And tailor it to what will be helpful for you.
Yeah.
And so we do live in an age in which you can do that, which is pretty interesting.
Yeah, that's good. So just some thoughts on how Christians should consume the news, whether it's watching, reading, listening, whatever it is. I got seven guidelines here.
Awesome.
So first, Christians should consume the news scripturally. We should be in God's word and learning about God's word and around the truths of God's word. So that's going to look, it's not just reading the Bible, but books about the Bible and songs about the Bible and all that stuff, more than the news.
Yeah.
So that when you're, they said of Charles Spurgeon, when he was cut, he bled bibline. That when you're cut, you don't bleed Fox News or CNN or MSNBC. You bleed Bible. And then you go to those sources and your lens is the Bible.
Yeah.
Right? So you're like a Bible person first and the headlines come to you, but they come to you through the filter of the scriptures rather than reading the scriptures through the filter of your cable news thing,
That is such a great point. And just asking yourself, what glasses am I wearing?
Yeah, because you're wearing some.
You're wearing some.
Yeah.
And what has shaped your glasses? And be really honest with yourself.
Right.
Right?
Right.
Yeah, I love that.
And it's a good, a good litmus test of this is like, if this side does something, that if you were honest, you would have been okay with if your side did.
Yeah.
What changed?
Yeah.
You know? So, you know, if it's just a good thing to scripturally have those lens on. Secondly, I'd say Christians should consume the news liberally. And what I mean by that is...
No, just end it there.
Yeah, all right. And next one, be a liberal. I think you should have a variety of sources that you draw from.
Yeah.
And if you're only going to one well to drink, it just biases your outlook. And so, you know, you're not gonna hurt yourself too much by going to that other website or reading from that other paper or listening to that other podcast or watching that other TV show. I think a diversity, you know, Tim Keller used to say this about preaching. He would say to preachers, if you just listen to one preacher, you become like a clone of him. But if you listen to dozens of preachers, you take the best of each and you become your own self, right? So get a variety of sources so that you can learn to listen critically, think critically. Because the goal here is not to be a robot. The goal here is to be like a thinking human being.
Yeah. I listened to this one guy, Justin Ely, and that's it.
That's it. And, you know, that's probably fine.
No, it's a good point, too, because not only does it help us think critically and get different sources, there's just a lot of not true things out there right now.
There is.
And so just a couple of warnings. One, a lot of the stuff you read on social media like Facebook is AI generated and just not
flat
even
out
true.
not
like,
true
it
at
just
all.
didn't happen.
Yeah.
Like there's so many things like, and so part of the different sources is like, if something really piques your interest or you want to tell someone else, go research it first.
Yeah.
Before you send it to someone.
Yep.
And I remember there was like, on Facebook, there's someone I saw that like reposted this thing about, you know, Trump did this and stuff. And it just turns out like he never said, like it just didn't have, it was just an AI generated thing with an AI generated picture that looked really real.
Yep.
And
It's crazy.
And this person's response was, well, you know, this would be something he probably would say.
Right.
And it's like, come on.
Dude, that's not fair.
Yeah. And I'm not, you know, I know I use Trump example. You could do that with, I mean, this happens on both sides or whatever. And so you need to read more sources to say that this actually happened. You know?
Right. You know, another thing that's really interesting too is one of the ways that bias is shown is what's the headline of the day. What leads the newscast? What is the front page? That's an editorial decision, you know? And so sometimes I will listen to, you know, I'll like listen to the first few minutes of Special Report with Bret Baier, and then I'll flip to CNN and listen to the first few minutes of Anderson Cooper's news program. And sometimes the first 5 minutes is drastically different on what they're talking about. So even like what is being covered on the news is a choice of bias.
Yeah.
And will often be different. Same thing with like I'll read an article in the New York Times and then purposely read an article in the Wall Street Journal on the same topic and see, you know,
what it is.
And I'm not doing this all the time, but on occasion. So I think number one, read it scripturally or consume it scripturally. Number two, consume it liberally from a variety of sources. But number three, consume it sparingly. And this may sound different than the liberally, but and it may sound like should be preaching to myself here, given what all that I've shared. You should not become the person with the TV on all the time. So you should be very careful of this.
My friend told me a story about someone he knew who, so like OLED TVs, the way they work is that like it uses like the lights in a certain way. And there was a certain logo that was burned onto the TV because it was only on that channel.
Right.
And like when you turn it off, you can still see it.
Yeah.
It's crazy.
If your Fox News logo or CNN logo or MSNBC logo is going to be burned into your OLED TV, you are over consuming the news.
Yeah.
And so like, come up with some rhythm. Here's a great example. The Daily Wire has a podcast called The Morning Wire. It's
like
15 minutes.
Yeah, it's short.
And then they do another one at the end of the day called it's still The Morning Wire, but it's kind of like the Evening Wire. It's like 10 minutes on your ride back home from work. You just have to watch
Honestly,
out.
that's so smart of them to do that.
Yeah. I mean, you do have to, and this is like the pot calling the kettle black, me saying this, but you don't want to let it consume your life, and you need to be careful. I've heard, especially with cable news, because cable news is so, and it is playing to an audience, and so especially when you get into those late night opinion shows, it's just like if that's the background of your living room all the time, that is just not healthy.
Yeah. I think a good litmus test is just like being honest with yourself of like, is this being healthy for me? So for example, not just with the news, like if you play video games are fine, but you know when it's too much.
Right.
When you're using it as a crush, when you're addicted to it, whatever it is.
Yep.
Same with eating ice cream, same with eating fried food, same with whatever it is. It's like what Jim Gaffigan says. It's all McDonald's, right?
Right.
And like some McDonald's is fine,
Right.
but you know, I mean, if we're really honest with myself, I know when I'm consuming anything too much, or how it's affecting.
Yep.
This is affecting me in a negative way. I'm too addicted to this. I'm like anxious about this, and you know, like just stop. Be honest with yourself and understand, put healthy boundaries.
Yeah. So read it scripturally, read it liberally, read it sparingly, and fourth, read it or consume it or watch it or listen to it trustingly. And what I mean by that is, do you really believe God is sovereign? And a lot of our anxieties related to the news spin off on the idea that, oh my gosh, it's all coming apart.
It's over.
It's over, you know. And
Save
so let's
Bandit.
just get a bunker and but save Bandit. Oh man, it's such a good episode. But yeah, we can consume the news as though God were not the sovereign king of the universe, and he's seated on the throne, and so you need not fret.
Yeah. And this goes back to the read it scripturally.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It is like, we can. It seems even more so. I think Americans might be even worse than a lot of other countries on this, but it's like, if we lose this election, our country's doomed. It's always like, if this doesn't happen this time, it's all over.
Yeah.
And I'm just like, that's just garbage. And
I mean, the past 3 election cycles, it's just, that was so much of
every single time.
Every single time.
If it's not this, it's over. From
guess
both
what?
sides.
We're still here.
We're still here.
Things are pretty much the same
Yeah.
as they were 12 years ago.
Right.
Like, I'm in the terms of like our freedoms and democracy, and I'm like,
right.
Like I know culture shifts and all this stuff, but like, yeah, you're right.
Yeah. So read it, consume it scripturally, liberally, sparingly, trustingly. Fifth, readily. This is where the love of neighbor thing comes in. Seeking the welfare of the city.
Yeah.
Consume the news, ready to do something about the news.
Yeah.
So let me give an example. I was watching a newscast about the studies that Harvard came out with a study on screen time with children in schools, and basically the summary is it's terrible. It does nothing good for you. It always makes things worse. So you could be super anxious about that, or you could do something about that. So we had a meeting set up for a different matter with someone from the school board. And I asked her about it. What's the county's policy on screen times in the classroom? And as a parent, how can I express myself properly on my opinion about this? And we had a great conversation. But I wouldn't have known that if I hadn't have watched the news story about it.
Yeah.
So, when it comes to whether it's caring for your kids on like screen time, whether it's fighting for justice issues like abortion, pro-life causes, whether it's seeking the welfare of the city, caring for the immigrant and the vulnerable among you, you hear about these things and you go, oh, maybe there's something I can actually do. Yeah. So, you're not powerless. You don't have to be a passive consumer of the news. Watch it ready to act in righteousness if there's an opportunity before you.
And I'm going to say, too, that experience was interesting to me because what I've seen a lot on the news is about public schools and school boards and all the bad things or whatever. And when we got the chance to meet with this woman, our representative, she was fantastic.
She was awesome, yeah.
And so caring about the kids and education and like it was even eye-opening for me that it's like, once again, everything about anything on the news oftentimes is negative.
Right.
But there's these people in our communities who really do care and are good representatives.
100%.
Yeah.
Yeah. So consume it scripturally, liberally, sparingly, trustingly, readily. And sixth, prayerfully. And this kind of ties in with scripturally and trustingly, but if God's in charge and bad things are happening, and maybe there's not an immediate thing you can do. You can't do anything about the Iranian crisis other than you could write or call your representative to express your opinion. You could do that.
Or I guess join the military.
Or you could join the military, yeah. But you can pray.
Yeah.
And prayer's the work, and God hears the prayers of his people. And so, I've had the joy over the years of getting to minister alongside a lot of Iranians and see some ministry in that region of the world up close. And so I feel very personally connected to the Iran crisis, in that I've got faces and names of people.
Yeah.
But that's led me to pray for what's going on there more. And so, don't give to despondency, give to prayer. And so, when you listen or read or hear headlines that disturb you, bring it to the Lord. And then finally, I'd say consume news discerningly. And we've kind of talked about this, but you just got to be aware that, like you said, what did you say? You are the product, or you're the, I mean, they're selling you something. Yeah. Something's being sold to you. And some people in the news industry, I think, have righteous desires to report the truth.
Yeah.
And a lot of people don't. And a lot of people have an agenda.
Yeah.
And they want to brainwash you. I mean, just frankly,
There's
so
two
you
sides
just
of
need to
it.
know that.
There's the money side where you're the product. There's also whoever owns it and is pushing an agenda. And it's both.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so you just need to you just need to know that. And, you need to know that
awareness is half the battle.
Yeah. And not everyone who claims to be a Christian is.
Right.
And that holds in the news industry as well. I read this article the other day from a self-professed Christian, and I thought it was stunningly and horrifically bad. And just it seemed a lot more biased toward the world than toward the word.
Yeah.
And I was just like, well, what is happening here? So you just gotta be shrewd as serpents, right?
Yeah.
So just know that going into it, which is why you want to access from different sources and read it through the lens of Scripture and all of those types of things. But that's the news.
Yeah.
Consume it scripturally, liberally, sparingly, trustingly, readily, prayerfully, and discerningly.
Yeah.
So
Very
there you
helpful.
go. Yeah, we hope this helps you. Other than Monday Musings, your main source for news. What you should do in the future. All right, well, we're going to end with our life hack of the month. Daniel, what's yours?
So this one, once again, some of my life hacks are untested. So you test them for me. I have heard if you have a song stuck in your head, to get it out, you have to sing it out loud.
I've heard this too.
Okay.
Yeah.
So I don't get, I guess, a ton of songs stuck in my head. Sometimes I wake up and a song stuck in my head. It's like super weird.
Yeah.
And I sing it and then I go about my day and I don't think about it again. So I guess it's semi-tested. It works for me.
Yeah, I get them stuck in my head right before bed sometimes, and that's tough.
You whip out your microphone while your wife's sleeping and
That's
just
right.
sing it out.
Just go for it. It works really well. My life hack of the month is the Morning Wire podcast. So related to the topic at hand today, if you're looking for just a good 15-minute Morning Wire is pretty helpful. Quick digest.
It's funny. I'm a YouTube guy. I listen to YouTube people. Yeah.
Yeah. I usually go more audio because I like to do it in the car or whatever.
It's funny, I don't have much of a commute right now.
I know.
So
Yeah.
15 is too long.
Yeah, it's too much.
Yeah.
Double time, double speed. Thanks for joining us for Monday Musings. We'll talk to you again in a couple weeks.